Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Beauty, Strength, and Dominance, the official LFC Lingerie Fighting Championships podcast. And joining me today is LFC prospect, Miss THC. We all need a little THC in our lives. Miss Taylor Holly Combs. Taylor, welcome back to the show.
Hello, hello. Thank you
Uh,
for having me back.
You are so welcome. First and foremost, guys, how apropos is this? Because LFC Madness 3 is going on. We're down to the final 8. One of the OGs of the LFC Madness tournament is Miss Taylor Holly Combs. I got to say, how exciting is it for you to see that now we are up to LFC Madness 3, and it's just going to keep growing and growing because LFC Madness has become a staple with LFC. How do you feel just to see more of these tournaments coming to fruition?
Actually, I was really excited about LFC Madness 3. Just seeing another round of just beautiful, strong women competing for that spot. It's amazing.
It's one of those things where I look at it from a stance too as well. We have women of all different shapes and sizes and backgrounds. One of the hotbeds and one of the hottest ones right now is Betty Brickhouse, mighty, just letting it all hang out. Betty Brickhouse has become much of a staple because, as she discussed in the last episode, we've not seen a lot of women of the plus size genre in LFC, and that's cool because again, breaking the mold, breaking the staple. That's what we do, the diversity.
Absolutely. Love to see the diversity. Love to see women of all shapes and sizes compete. It's a beautiful thing to see.
I gotta say, speaking of beautiful, my goodness gracious, my friend, one of the great things that we get to see on social media, and I always got to put you over for this, whether it be OnlyFans or whether it just be Twitter, Instagram, you are killing on the photos, man. Those photo shoots are coming out great.
Thank you so much. I mean, when it comes to taking pictures, I try my best to think outside the box. Actually, at one point, I wanted to be a creative director. So that's why, like, most of my photos come out the way they come out because, like, I just have that certain visions for each picture that I take.
I gotta say that adds a lot to your uniqueness as well because we talked last time, model, LFC participant, professional wrestler, creative director. I gotta say, man, you're dipping your toe into a lot of things as well as the skateboarding and the DJing. You're a woman of many traits, Taylor. You're a woman of many traits.
I mean, I'm interested in so many different things. I mean, I love to do whatever makes me happy. So I just like to go for it.
And I think that's a great mindset as well because a lot of people are just like, oh, I just want to do such and such and then focus. And I'm like, no, because sometimes, they say you have to have a backup plan or a fallback plan. Sometimes you got to find some other stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that because a lot of people just want to stay in their lane, so to speak. But it's okay to take a little side roads, a little expressway, if you will. I'm making some road suggestions here and ideologies, but hey, it makes sense. Sometimes you got to go a little different way.
Definitely. I mean, especially in the pro wrestling world, a lot of professional wrestlers feel like, oh, I have to be a professional wrestler. That's all I'm going to do. And if I don't do that, then I don't love wrestling. But it's like you said, you have to have a backup plan. And also for your mental health, it's always good to take a step back away from, professional wrestling or whatever combat sport that you do. Because if you only do that one thing, at least for me, it makes me feel completely just unhappy and not satisfied with what I'm doing because I'm just pouring my all into that one thing.
Agreed wholeheartedly. And I look at it from a stance too as well, especially with professional wrestling. Everybody was like, oh, the WWE is the one-stop shop. Everybody has to go to the WWE. That's the number one goal. I'm like, well, we have AEW over here. We have Impact Wrestling. We have NWA. We have MLW. We have so many different organizations now. It's a hotbed to go. Some people just want to do the indies, which is fine because in indies and independent wrestling is one of the hotbeds as well. There's something for everybody when it comes to wrestling and professional wrestling companies.
Most definitely. Especially like for me, I don't know when it comes to, I don't know, like I said, I just like to dabble in different things instead of just doing one set thing. And you're absolutely right.
I look at it from a stance too as well, and I always say this. Now, me growing up on Long Island, New York, Northeast East Coast boy right here, I grew up 15 minutes from the New York Wrestling Connection, which produced such talents as Brian Myers, Matt Cardona, Matt Stryker, Mike Mondo, Mikey of the Spirit Squad, and so many names. So I was had the accessibility to go there, see the shows, and do all that stuff. If you have a good school like that, that is the most important thing. If you don't go to the right wrestling school, that is the most important thing. They're at the right training, what have you. Wrestling schools, a lot of people sometimes put that on the back burner, is the most important thing to have if you're going to become a professional wrestler. Go to the right school and get the right amount of training.
Very well said. That's been my problem with professional wrestling. I feel like I've had trouble finding the right school for me. and finding the right training regimen for me. So that's what I'm kind of going through right now. I'm just trying to find my footing when it comes to training at a certain school, because I want to be the best. I want to be good. But right now, I kind of feel like I'm not getting that. And maybe it's partially me, but who knows?
No, I can agree, and I think it doesn't just come with wrestling and stuff, and it comes with any facet of life. And I've said this, and actually you and I have talked about this, and I'll share this with everybody on the show here. I just came off doing the LFC ring announcing at the Halloween show for LFC 3D Booty Camp 3D. And by the way, I got to thank you, Miss THC, because a lot of people were loving the suit, and I appreciate that. You know, so you had to look good. It was for the show, and it's Halloween. You know, got to rep the suit. I digress. It's one of those things where it's like, I've done this. But my first time announcing, I felt like Ricky Bobby. I don't know what to do with my hands when you're holding the mic, right? So it's something you're putting your hand in a glove, but you know, it's stuff that gets you nervous, and also you're on pay-per-view, and it's the FSW arena. So if it's in that circumstance, whether it's in training, whatever, there's a little apprehension, but you know, once you keep doing it more, you'll be fine. So once again, it's just gotta stick to it, you know?
Yep, I'm starting to learn now that consistency is definitely key when it comes to doing whatever you want to be good at.
Agreed wholeheartedly, and I look at it from a stance too as well. I gotta say, I've been seeing your training videos on Instagram and stuff, doing a little bit of the rolls, doing a little spin kick. You got a nice little kick on you there, Miss THC. So you're learning, and you're progressing.
Thank you. At least somebody sees it.
You know what it is? It's the old saying, and if there's anything I could say to anybody, and I include you in these sentiments, Miss Taylor Holly Combs, progression, succession, no regression. Always remember that. Progression, succession, no regression. That's how you have to look at it.
Indeed.
Now, well, I got to say this, man. Indies are starting to get back going. You know what I'm saying? I did see some stuff with Super Craze that just did an event not too long ago over in the Jersey side of things. It's great to see, you know, indies coming back and doing their thing. We've had a year and a half of hell, still hell going on with the coronavirus and COVID. So it's nice to see the indies back doing the damn thing, you know?
Definitely. I mean, we're coming back strong, bouncing back from this pandemic. It's a beautiful thing to see. I mean, we were down for so long and so many restrictions. Now we're fully back and we're able to have fans in attendance. So we're finally getting that energy that we wanted back.
Oh, agreed wholeheartedly. And I got to say right now, and I think what I always love about your character and what really kind of gravitates me towards you, besides the fact that we got the tats, we got the edge, we got the green hair. I don't even know what hair we're going to give you. There's green, there's red. You give me a little bit of the flavor from the stylistic standpoint with your hair. I got to give you kudos for that. Much respect. You got a lot of variety with you, Taylor, so a lot of people can gravitate towards you. I like how you present your character.
I mean, with my character, I just want to be as relatable as possible. I don't even really like to label it as a character. I just feel like I'm being myself, but to the max.
I like that style too. It's really, well, that's how it is. It's like you're amping yourself, but with the volume turned up. And I love that. I think what's great about it is we all have that internal and external, I'll use it as artistry, so to speak. So how we can communicate with our physical side of things on the verbal side of things. That's how it makes, and that's what makes some great professional wrestling TV and shows.
Absolutely. I feel like when people are themselves, it resonates with, whatever audience you're trying to gear yourself towards. So just what I like to tell everyone is just be yourself. Like it'll work out in the end.
That's the infamous Audio Slave song that Ashley Massaro, God rest her soul, had as a theme song. Be yourself is all that you can be. And I'd like to quote some Sly and the Family Stone. Thank you for letting me be myself again. Simple as that. Simplistic right there. And Taylor, you hit it right on the head. One other thing I have to mention to you is because you brought it up so eloquently before, mental health is key, not just in professional wrestling, but in life. And what I love about this, folks, and we'll promote the Twitter at the end, is you are very outspoken on Twitter. And I got to say, you're a great follow with your bluntness and your honesty on certain situations. But man, you are so on the forefront of mental health and how important that is for professional wrestling. A lot of people seem to forget that. And I think a lot of people need to like take that pump the brakes, if you will, or back it up just a little on social media. Because, you know, it's like we can't be in it all day and you'll drive yourself nuts.
Yeah, I'm very big on mental health. Back in, just to tell you my backstory with my mental health journey, back in 2016, I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. And it was a very life-changing moment for me because I lived with bipolar disorder undiagnosed my whole entire life. Um, so now that I know that, I know like I'm going through therapy and learning different methods of how to cope. And then I want to say back in 2018, I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. So just having that clarity, it's really been helping me with my mental health journey. And I feel like I'm starting to become a better person, and I'm starting to become somebody that I like.
Which first and foremost, I got to say, I think a lot of us can like Miss Taylor Holly Combs here because you're killing it, and also you, like we mentioned, being yourself. And I'm sorry that you had to go through that. There's a lot of struggles, and I'll see you right now. From the neurological standpoint, I'll admit it myself. I'm an epileptic. You know what I'm saying? I was going through some stuff where I was taking some pills I shouldn't have not too long ago, and I got myself out of that. And what you actually brought up was great is therapy. Now, therapy comes in many different forms. Whether you're talking to somebody, you're seeing something, you find your solace in your religion and your faith. Do what needs to do that needs to make you happy as well, and also bring you some clarity, like you mentioned, and really make you become the person that you like and make you stay and follow on your path. So that's so eloquently said.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. No, it's so true because a lot of people, and I actually talked about it in the last episode with London Storm because she had gone through the same stuff addiction wise. It's okay to talk about what you're going through because you don't know how you can relate to somebody. You don't know how you could touch somebody's hearts and perhaps help them. Or, it's one of those things where it's like, it's okay because we all go through it. You know what I'm saying? Everybody goes through something. You know what I'm saying? It's like the old Hall & Oates song, excuse me. Don't mess with imperfection. It's the method of modern love. Don't mess with imperfection. We all have our imperfections,
Yeah, absolutely. It's crazy because when I started off in wrestling and I was like exposing to people or expressing to people, I mean, that, I have borderline personality and bipolar disorder and I have to take medication for it. Most people were saying, like, oh, well, you're a wrestler now and you shouldn't tell people about what you're going through. But it's like you said, you don't know, like, being open and honest about what you're going through, it can really like resonate with, certain people who are going through the same exact thing. And then you being on that level of being a wrestler or just someone in combat sports or even a celebrity, they know that, okay, this person who is like on this level, they're going through the same thing as me. I can get to their level too.
Right. And it's one of those things too where it's like in professional wrestling. Now, this is the old days. We're talking about the 90s, right? ECW, one of the most popular promotions. I'm talking about Extreme Championship Wrestling or just the wrestling in general, right? The chair shot was the most hardcore, the most, simple and most infamous spot when it came to professional wrestling, whether it be running or matches, right? They don't do that anymore. In ECW, the old adage was, if you don't get your hands up, then you're a pussy. Now, with CTE coming into the fray and we realize how bad concussions are over the years, we have a different outlook on how we view this stuff. And now you see with chairs, it's mostly in the gut or the back. But if that stuff coming to fruition, if we didn't know about CTE, then, this would be a whole different conversation. But CTE and concussions and how we learn about this protocol has really also helped a lot of people out as far as wrestling goes.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. Yeah, I'm just glad that, all of that was brought to the forefront because now we know, as athletes, to take better care of ourselves, physically and mentally.
Agreed. And I also look at it from a stance of professional wrestling. I'm going to say this right now. As someone who's worked with a lot of great professional wrestlers, I'm talking to one right now. But it's one of those things where it's just like when you're around the wrestling business and stuff that happens in the wrestling business, you're going to go nuts and you're going to go insane because there's a lot of shit that goes on. And some good, some bad. And it goes along with everything. And I equate it to everything in life. But if you have to have that nice balance, you know what I'm saying? But when it comes to professional wrestling, it certainly is there. A lot of drama and a lot of stuff that's unnecessary. But at the end of the day, I think if you find that right balance in anything that you do, it really makes it fulfilled and it makes it full of wonderment and just a lot of great stuff. So you got to find that balance.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely.
Now with you, speaking of balancing, we're balancing a lot of stuff with your career. We talked about last time with DJ and friggin' just, skateboarding and everything. You're just a rebel without a cause, as the devil without a cause, like Kid Rock used to have that album. But god dang, man, like one of the things that you really got me really excited about is because we were talking about this in messages. LFC is a dream for you, meaning that it's your dream to fight for LFC. And I wanted to touch upon this because there's a lot of great prospects that have that great attitude and have that great warmth about the LFC product and the open-mindedness to compete. So for you, Taylor Holly Combs, why is LFC a dream for you to compete in? I was curious about this because I love that adage. What is it about LFC that it's your dream to compete for LFC, that is Lingerie Fighting Championships?
Well, for one, not to be super big-headed about it, but I really want to put myself out there, in anything, whether it be professional wrestling or LFC. And I don't know, it's just LFC really attracted me, because of just seeing these strong, beautiful women from all different backgrounds compete against each other. I think that's like the main thing that attracted me to LFC, is just seeing people from different backgrounds get in the ring and duke it out.
I got to say, beautifully said and eloquently said. But here's the thing that makes me smile about that. First of all, that's not big-headedness, by the way. That's promoting yourself. Sometimes we got to promote ourselves, even in this crazy world of social media, which has its pros and its cons. That's one of the pros, so we all can get to know and enter in our so-called world, if you will. But also at the same time, man, you need to do that. And with you, that's what LFC is about. I always equate it to the LFL, which, and this is where it actually ties into professional wrestling. Danielle Monet, who will go on to the WWE to be Summer Rae, who's coming back in the Royal Rumble. She is a former LFL All-Star. So if she could do the Lingerie Football League and make that transition into professional wrestling, anything is possible. We've seen so many professional wrestlers of all different shapes and sizes, like you mentioned, from different companies, indies, what have you. So it's a well-diverse, like we mentioned, and well-based promotion. And plus, I'm going to say this right now, not just because I'm the podcast host, the bullshit that we get from negativity-wise, it should not be there, because number one, empowerment, and number two, sex appeal. That's what drives. I mean, it's an old business adage, but sex sells, and I think you can agree with me on that, Taylor.
Oh, definitely. I love the LFC, and I hope one day that I get my shot to compete, because I feel like LFC needs a little THC. Come on.
Hey, I agree wholeheartedly on that. I'm going to say this right now. Let me tell you something about Taylor Hollycombs, because you don't think I see this social media. You know what pops up on my feed, gets my news feed? I got this one over here talking about ALFC. You need a little THC. Exactly the verbiage that she just said right there. She's putting on Twitter. She's putting it out into the universe. Get this girl on a Lingerie Fighting Championships events. I got to say, I love the marketing. That's not even big-headed. That's smart. That's strategic. And you're going for the neck. You're grabbing it by the balls and saying, hey, I want in. Put me in, coach. I'm ready to play. I like your style.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, definitely, definitely. I just want an opportunity to show the LFC, like, hey, you guys, like, I should be here. I want to be here.
I always compare it to as well, and I think Shannon Knapp does great with their promotion as well, because we mentioned the LFL and the sex appeal that also equates with LFC. You look at Shannon Knapp's promotion in Invicta now. Jessamine Duke, who was in the WWE, aligned with Shayna Baszler, who was also in there, the four MMA horsewomen, so to speak. If those careers can be launched, it's wonderful to main stages. And I also equate it to Ty Emery, who was in the original LFC Madness, much like yourself. Former LFL All-Star, played with Lauren the Animal Fogel, who is a current LFC fighter. And she transitioned from the world of LFL, MMA, now she's doing bare knuckle fighting. So she's going at three different avenues. And a lot of people will say, well, how can you do that? Well, you're not defined by what sex appeal or what you do from a sexual standpoint, but it's like, hey, I'm not just like this model. I can actually fight, and I'm actually good, and I keep myself in good shape, and we got that finesse Bruno Mars style to it. So that's how people have to look at it, not just from an external standpoint, but god dang, man, these girls can go physically.
Mm-hmm. I feel like, just if there's something that you feel passionate about, like, go for it. Like, you don't have to do this one thing and stick to this one thing. Like, if you want to do MMA, professional wrestling, and model at the same time, go for it. Who's going to tell you not to?
It reminds me of Zeta Zhang, who's done some work on MLW, and she was in WWE. She's like, hey, I'm going to do my music over here, and I'm going to wrestle and do some MMA. Like, that is a great thing. Again, the variety and expanding your horizons, which is also a very common phrase, but it's true. You have to expand the horizons.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to say, with you, your horizons and your future is going to be so bright. And I got to say, I can't wait to see not just what you do in pro wrestling wise, but man, in LFC, there's so many competitors that we had. And I mean, we're probably going to do more of these LFC Madnesses. It's kind of like a second chance, get you back involved in that, get you on a future show. It's an exciting time, man. And we're on the network. We got the Roku, which you guys, if you want to hear our first conversation, go back and watch that. It's on the LFC network on Roku. Man, you are one of my favorite people, and the sky is the limit. I can't wait to see what you do in the future.
Thank you so much. Oh my God. That really, like, touched my heart. Because as of late, I've been feeling like, I don't know, I've been doubting myself and feeling like, I shouldn't be wrestling, or I'm not good enough, or I have no purpose. And your kind words just makes me feel so much better about, my situation.
me tell you something. I've been there where you feel like you have no purpose. Trust me, we all do when we're all worth it. And like I said, progression, succession, no regression. Just stay on that path and just keep going, please. Like I truly mean that. I truly mean that about all these girls because we have a lot of uniqueness when it comes to LFC. To reiterate that point, there's a lot of special women, a lot of special human beings, and I'm talking to one of them. So I definitely hope to see you under the LFC auspices real soon.
Thank you. Thank you. I hope so too.
You're very welcome. And before we close this out, which, by the way, this is round 2, you and me, Taylor. We're definitely going to do a round 3. The Overture's here. Anytime you want to come back on, the floor is yours. I'd love to have you again.
Oh, I love chatting with you. Uh-oh. Need to charge my phone, but I love chatting with you. You're probably one of my favorite interviewers. Just it feels really conversational. It doesn't feel like one question, 2 questions, 3 questions, 4. Like I feel like I can have a real honest conversation with you. Thank you.
You're very welcome. And this is where I step back, man. Because the floor is yours. If people want to follow, get some THC into their life, which you should, duh, please let us know where we can follow you. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I believe you're also on the TikTok, the Heart TikTok. You don't stop. Miss Taylor Holly Combs, please promote the social media. The floor is yours.
TikTok, at Taylor Holly Combs. Facebook, you can find me, Taylor Holly Combs. Twitter, THC Badlands, Bad and Lands, because I represent the Badlands in Philadelphia. That's where I'm from. And Instagram is just Taylor Holly Combs. So you can find me on all those platforms. I'm always willing to follow anyone back. And thank you once again for having me.
You're welcome. Links will be in the description below. Give Taylor a follow. She's a very blunt, honest, and beautiful human being. Definitely give her a follow because there's a lot of great stuff that everybody could check out on all those forms of social media. And as I always say, beauty, strength, and dominance, the 3 key elements that make women the work of art that they are. And THC, PYT, pretty young thing, Taylor Holly Combs. I include you in those sentiments. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.